How y'all doing out there? I'm here with the second part of my love and happiness video. I'm gonna start off re-saying the joke so you can catch the end of it. Okay, a lady went to the pet store. She bought a parrot. She brung it home, put it in the cage. It didn't make a noise or nothing. So she went back to the pet store the next day. She asked, she told the pet employee that, well, my bird isn't making any noise. It's not doing anything. She said, well, do you have a swing? The lady said, no, I don't. So she bought the swing, took it back home, put it in there for the bird. The bird still didn't make a noise, didn't speak or nothing. So the next day she went back to the pet store, told them the problem again. They said, okay, well, do you have a mirror for your bird? She said, no, I don't. Purchased the mirror, took it back home, same results, didn't make a noise, didn't do anything. So the third day she went back there, she said, it's still not making a noise. She said, well, do you have a ledge for him to stand on? That way, because birds love ledges too. So she said, okay, bought the ledge, went back. Put it in there, same results. But this time when she went back to the store, she went through the door and the employee was like, so you come to buy something else? She was like, no, the bird died. And the pet employee was like, oh, man. So I hope it said something before it died. She said it did. And the bird said, do the pet stores sell bird food? Yeah, I chuckle every time I hear it. I still chuckle. And that's how that relates to everything, to a relationship. That's why I told it a joke. Most people, or most relationships, are worried about the cosmetics, which means the outside, the look for the public, instead of worrying about the substance of the relationship. Like, no matter what she did for the bird, if you're not feeding it, then it ain't gonna talk, ain't gonna do nothing. It's gonna die. So if you're not doing what you can do to make your relationship better, then the only thing you're gonna have is pictures, acting happy. But y'all know y'all not happy. So let's step back from the cosmetics of a relationship. You know, if everybody want to show that I'm happy, let's actually work to get happy, to make sure your spouse is happy and that your marriage or long-term relationship is going into the further as it can go. The poll I did online, it was 16% said they fell out of love, 84% said they was unhappy. Those numbers are crazy, but it's real though. I can understand just based off the different people I done talked to and the research I done did. I understand that's true because most people are just going through the motions. They have their gripes or whatever. They just don't know how to communicate it properly because it's a lot of arguing and some people feel like you set in your ways. You can teach an old dog new tricks if the old dog is willing to learn. So if you're looking at your relationship and don't plan on it changing, then you ain't got to learn nothing new. Keep going through the same cycle like Groundhog Day, and eventually it will come to a head and pop. I just want everybody to try to make it work. Like I'm not making these videos about love and happiness to say, yeah, split up, everybody should go and be by yourself. You ain't happy with that person, go and be by yourself. What I'm trying to say is try your hardest to make it work. Two-parent household is something I think every child should have. I know it's not realistic, but I think every child should have it because now you get to see both parts. Like you're not just seeing one person struggle and make it. You get to see both, male and female, that's trying to make a way for their child. Now I know it can't. Sometimes it's not going to work. But the main thing to me, out of all the research I done did, the main thing to me is communication. Find ways to communicate. Like it doesn't have to always be the bickering, the arguing, things of that nature. Most things don't even get accomplished in an argument because it's two people just shouting out what they don't like, but nobody's listening. You just, well, I don't like this and you don't like that and kiss my ass. you know, it get to that point to where then you just quiet and go back in your little corner, and eventually either you correct the situation or you just let it die down, and then eventually everything gets good. Like, but that situation never was settled. You just let it, well, let's keep moving on. We got to find ways to settle these arguments, especially when it's something that's occurring often. Like if you're in your relationship, if you are arguing often and none of those things are getting resolved, then that's like a wound with a scab on it. All it takes is for a brush, somebody rub something across it, then it's bleeding again. You got to heal these wounds. Put some little Neosporin in there. Get that thing healed up. I'm gonna shoot off some numbers real quick, but relationships are supposed to be difficult. That's where I look at it. They're supposed to be difficult because it's two imperfect people trying to coexist with different ideas and different thought processes. So it should be some kind of friction, but it shouldn't be more friction than it is happiness. Or it shouldn't be, I love this person, so I'm putting up with everything because I love him, or I'm scared to go somewhere. No. Never put yourself in a position that's not beneficial for you. So if you're in a relationship and you know it's not working, get up out of there. But if you are in a marriage or a relationship and you want it to work, at least try all steps you can try before you back out. Anything that you can do. Talking to friends. Find better ways to communicate. What I found was helpful to me is in the heat of a moment, I try not to argue. Like if things are heated, I take a step back, come downstairs, play my game, or I do whatever I need to do to get a cool head, and then I try to come back to the conversation. Whether it's, if I know she's still mad, then I'm not going to try to talk to her. I'll send her a text, write it down. But instead of me, one thing I learned, instead of me writing something down to try to communicate better, and instead of me telling her what I don't like, I try to write what I'm going to do better. Self-reflection, to let her know, look, yeah, I could sit there and tell you all the things that you were doing wrong, but I know I'm flawed too. So to help you out, I'm going to start doing better myself. I think that plays a major part in my relationship to where we done been together this long. Me and my wife been together 17 years. That's a long time. Long time. But some of the numbers, I mean, just give you something so you can wrap your head around. Divorce rate has went down. The study did from 2008, 2016, it was an 18% drop in divorce rate. So that's a plus. I commend everybody out there. Stay strong. But it's still at 40 to 50% of marriages end up in divorce. 40 to 50%. I'd like to see us take that number down to about 20 to 30%. Then the reason why there's a drop in it, they said because of most people are waiting until they're economically stable. They're about 25 to 30 before they get married instead of 18 to 24. So, and they said that plays a major part. And I can see why, because the longer you wait, once you get established, it's easier to be in a relationship. But if you're not established financially, that causes problems, because money problems. But we all know how that goes. Why most people divorce, this is a list of why most people get divorced. Number one was lack of commitment. 73% said lack of commitment. Number two, argue too much. I know all of us go through that. Number three was infidelity, which I thought would have been higher, but that shows you how much I know. Married too young. They got married too young. Was the fourth? The fifth one, unrealistic expectations. Next one, lack of equality, lack of preparation for marriage. And the last one was abuse, which I thought abuse would be higher too, but that's neither here nor there. But either way, as you can see, lack of commitment and argue too much is the top two. And I think both of those has to do with communication. Like the way we communicate is the problem. We need to find new ways to communicate with our spouse. And I can't tell nobody how to communicate. That's something that, like, you got to try different methods to try to find the best way to communicate in a hostile moment. Like, you can't just use one way. Try it all. Try different things with your spouse too. Like, keep the relationship fresh. Doing whatever you can to keep it spicy or make him or her feel like you are still number one in my eyes. I still want you, baby. You got to make that, you got to make that, make it known. So if they don't know one thing, if they don't feel one thing, they feel that the love that you have for them and you're showing it. You're not just saying it, you're showing it. That can go a long ways to keeping the happiness, but it also goes to solving the problems that you're having. Don't let it be a recurring thing where you argue. Let it die down. Y'all cool for a little bit, then you're arguing again over probably the same thing or something similar. Cool, The same games got to change. And it's a divorce every 13 seconds in the United States. Every 13 seconds. That's astounding. Man, that many people getting divorced? Whoa, I need to be a divorce lawyer. But that's neither here nor there. Also, what plays a part is mental illness. All us have, I ain't gonna say all of us, but most of us is dealing with some sort of mental illness. It might not be bipolar to the 10th power. It might be bipolar 0.5. You know what I mean? A little bipolar. That's still something that you need to know yourself. So if you know yourself better, you are able to communicate your feelings and thoughts in a different way than when you don't know yourself. So everybody, take time to know yourself. Take time to relearn your spouse, to keep things new and keep things moving. There's no perfect relationship. It's nobody out here that can pinpoint you and say, do this and it'll gonna work. That ain't possible. You know what works in your relationship because you grew with your spouse. So just try new things to try to keep it spicy, you know what I mean? To keep everything on the up and up. No relationship is happy or argue free, but you can be happy the whole time and in love. You can go through your ups and downs of being mad or whatever, but you still can be happy and in love at the same time. This concludes my video. I hope everybody out there that's watching, and if you are married, give it one more try. If you're thinking about ending it, give it one more try. And then maybe 2 more for me. And if you think about getting in marriage, it's the best thing you could do. To have somebody to grow with, and especially go through the trials and tribulations of life, and then sit back at the end and think about everything you've been through. That got to be a hell of an experience. I can't wait to get there with my wife. I love you, baby. Y'all, thank y'all for listening to my video. I plan on doing some more. Spread the word and tell your friends about my YouTube. Y'all subscribe, hit like, leave your comments. I respond back.